And that's how I started encouraging people to become Jewish when I was living in Israel. I lived in Israel for like 5 years. And then I started doing it big time in America. So I reach out to everyone equally, to non-Jews, to born Jews. Kiruv, as it exists today, or whatever, shlichut, if you're a like Chabadnik, is probably less than 100 years old. People never reached out to secular Jews to bring them close to Judaism.
Right.
Because Mussar, the equivalent of chizuk, trying to strengthen the faith of someone. You're not bringing an atheist closer, right?
Right.
You know, like to carve someone means to bring them close. Now, I'm all for Kiruv, by the way, but I think that by Chazal, there's actually more sources to reach out to Gentiles than to reach out to atheistical brethren. So I just think it's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, definitely, as somebody who studies like the Messianic times, obviously in the Jewish scriptures, it would kind of make sense, based on everything that, is believed to whatever will happen. No, it definitely makes sense. But at the same time, doesn't a non-Jew just have to keep the Sheva Mitzvah B'nai Noach?
So it depends who you asked. According to the Rambam, like in Hilchos Tshuva, he says if someone keeps the Sheva Mitzvahs, yes, they get a Hilch Lamabah. He also says it in Hilchos Malachim. However, in Serbia, he says the opposite. He says that if someone comes to convert, we tell them that only Jews have a share in the world to come. It seems that Chazal weren't unanimous on this idea. Like Rabbi Eliezer, which was a student of Beit Shammai, taught that Gentiles do not get a share in the world to come, no matter how righteous they were, while Beis Hillel did. However,
Right.
because everyone's so big on the Rambam nowadays, everyone just runs with the Rambam, and the Rambam, teaches that the Chesidei Umot Olam, they get a Chelik Olam Haba. But this is just the opinion of the Rambam, so we don't know it for sure. Like if someone wants to be somewhat certain, as much certain as a religious person could be on any religious topic, it'd be better for that person to be Jewish if they really want to be certain. Absurd to assume that anyone could be righteous by just keeping 7 laws. Right? It's just
Right.
it's kind of silly, and not to mention that we put them to death for breaking any one of the 7 laws with only one witness and no pre-warning. Yeah. So then,
In Judaism, you need 2.
right, correct. And Jews aren't unalived for stealing, right? I mean, a Gentile is unalived for stealing something worth less than a shova pruta, like a Roman coin. So
Yeah.
these modern day rabbis don't teach that, which is kind of cruel. They'll teach them, why do you want to become Jewish when you could have the same relationship, which is a lie. It's not the same. The Torah doesn't even apply to them. Like, where are they going to pray? Like, who are their kids going to marry? It's not a serious response when it's not an alternative to Judaism. If someone wants to keep 7 laws, then all the best, right? But if someone really wants to come closer to God, we shouldn't push them away. So any rabbi who does that, I think, is actually going against Jewish law.
Right. Well, I mean, I actually know quite a few people who converted, and when they first went to the Rav, he did push them away. He pushed them away a few times before finally accepting them, and they asked him why, and he said that you have to understand, if you're thinking about converting to Judaism, it's not just, learn a little bit, sign a paper, and then you're Jewish. You have to take on 613 commandments plus all the offshoots of them. So if you're going to convert to Orthodox Judaism, we need to be certain that this is something you really want to do. It's a massive, massive undertaking, and obviously, from a rabbi's perspective, they don't want to give somebody give somebody the ability to, or whatever, however you call it, to finally be Jewish, and then within 6 months, obviously, they just go off the rip. So it's a tricky one. I guess the main question is, like, do you think God wants non-Jewish people to convert, or?
All right, so let me respond to your first point. That's called being firmer than Chazal. Any rabbi who feels that they're going to take it upon themselves to push someone away and make conversion take a few years, what's the only example we have on how to accept converts? In the Talmud, the only example. Hillel, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Is that the only example?
It's the only example where someone comes to convert, and it says in every instance that Hillel converts him.
Yeah.
Miyad, right away, and then he teaches him Torah. Now, why do you think he does that? By the simple fact that somebody could be born Jewish tells us that we're not too picky on who we let in. Okay? Being Jewish means nothing. It's what you do after you become Jewish that matters. So what's the point of making someone wait for 3 years where he can't date, right? I mean, he can't even fully keep Torah. According to some rabbis, they make him turn on light switches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Get him to convert, and then it's the responsibility of the community to help him grow. But this idea that the conversion itself matters, by the simple fact that you could be born Jewish, means being Jewish means nothing outside of Kabbalah. I mean, Kabbalah, Helek Eloka Mimal Mamish, they teach all this nonsense that every Jew is special just because they exist. That's nonsense. Okay, being Jewish means nothing. The vast majority of Jews are atheists. Okay, it's what you do with your Jewishness. So that's why put him in yeshiva as quick as possible after you convert him, right? I mean, it says Goy Osep Torah, Hayab Mita. Gentiles themselves really shouldn't even study Torah, which is why Hillel converted him. I think that they know more than Hillel and our Mishnaic rabbis.
Right. So you don't believe that every Jewish soul is in some ways. I mean, what was it exactly you said? You don't believe that every Jewish soul is special?
But the notion doesn't appear in the Talmud at all. It first appears in the Zohar.
Right. Well, I guess it's more. Yeah, I guess it's more the covenant you make with God for a Brit Milah.
Everybody has the same soul. I mean, it depends what you do with that potential. Now, Kabbalah teaches that there's a Jewish soul and there's a non-Jewish soul. Right. Like it's the first two prakim in the Tanya, and it teaches that the souls of goyim come from the sitra achra, from the unclean klipas, right? And everything they do, even the nice things they do it for like unpure purposes. But they believe that Gentiles are irredeemable. Now, I know Chabad doesn't believe this, but the Baal HaTanya made no distinction between righteous Gentiles and non-righteous Gentiles. And they teach that every Jew is actually a part of God, and they can't do no wrong. And anyone who converts is because they were Jewish all along, which kind of waters down Torah, saying the only reason you want to come to Torah is because you were genetically disposed to come to Torah, not because it makes sense. Which is why they make it so hard for converts, because they feel like if you're really Jewish, if like you're one of the netzitzot that are coming back, like one of the sparks returning, then you'll do what it takes to convert. And it's their job to wash away every other fake convert that's coming just because he loves Torah and not because he or she has a Jewish soul. This is why I'm not a fan of Kabbalah.
Yeah, no, I can see that.